Not the cleanest takeoff, but we pulled it off. We gotta take it easy.
Yikes.
Alright, buenos dias, que pasó amigos, John's Moto Garage, welcome back to the channel. Which bike should we mob today? I'm gonna roll over to the skate park real quick. You know what? Why don't we take the old Low Rider S out for a ride? Sadly, I'm not gonna have this bike forever, and I've yet to do a ride review on it, so what better day than today? What better time than the present to do a ride review on the Harley Davidson Low Rider S? Let's hit it, you guys. Here, hold on. As is tradition here on John's Moto Garage, we'll do a quick walk around and then we'll jump into the Low Rider S ride review. Now, if you know John's Moto Garage, you know I don't go super in depth. It's more just bringing you my thoughts and impressions and opinions on the motorcycle. I'll try to bring you some additional clips of the bike, some walk arounds, some action clips, so you can see the bike and what it looks like and all that good stuff. But here she is, 2017 Low Rider S, 110 cubic inch, far from stock, beautiful motorcycle. My buddy hit me up the other day saying he was going to go out and buy a new skateboard. He picked out a new board, and it's been months since I was at the skate park, so we're going to meet up with my buddy at the skate park and hit up a good skate sesh. Anyway, again, we're going to talk Low Rider S today. I'll go over my thoughts and impressions, my opinions on the motorcycle, some of the likes and dislikes, why might you be interested in a moto such as this. And keep in mind, this one's far from stock, but we'll try to keep this applicable to both those who are looking for a stock build, and I'll talk a little bit also about the custom club build and some of the things you may choose to do with a bike like this one. So a little bit of the basics on this bike. Harley brought out the Low Rider S on the Dyna platform. It was available from 2016 to 2017. Now it is interesting to note, during that time they did have the S trim on a few other bikes. The one that comes to mind is the Softail Slim S. So you were able to find a 110 on other platforms, including with some of the CVOs and some of those bikes as well. But in the Dyna line, this was the first time Harley offered the 110 on a Dyna without having to purchase like a the kit, you know, to build it up or go with some other motorcycle, I believe. So yeah, boasts 110 cubic inch, something like 113 horsepower from the factory. So it's a beast of a bike. It's a beast of a moto in its own right. In stock, these are going to come with drag bars, a little bit more of, they do have mid control, so for taller riders you may feel a little bit more cramped. But even in its stock form, it's an all-out hot rod. It's just a beast of a motorcycle. And I remember seeing these and thinking they looked like pretty rad bikes back in the day. The reason I got into them was due to the whole club style stuff, the Club Dyna stuff, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. And I can't speak to the comfort of your stock bike because obviously I haven't ridden that one. I imagine it's going to feel a little more aggressive with your drag bars and with those forward mid controls. Overall, you can't deny Harley did a pretty killer job as far as the styling goes on these bikes. It's a hot rod muscle bike.
Obviously won't be as comfortable as your standard cruiser, but a little more comfortable than your sport bikes. Now this one here is far from stock, but I've talked to enough people with the stock ones to know that even in its stock form, it's a super fun ride, super torquey, tons of power, and overall just an awesome motorcycle. So now let's talk a little bit about this one with upgraded cams and exhaust and chain drive and all that good stuff. So I got into the Dynas due to the club wheelie stuff, the Dyna wheelies, and I got into the Low Rider S even more so because of that, because this is the holy grail of all Dynas. It's the cream de la crop, the best of the best when it comes to the Dynas. You couldn't get anything gnarlier than this, and you can't still because, well, they only had it for those 2 years and they DC'd the Dyna line. So first time I ever jumped on this thing, a few things. It still has that raw, visceral Harley feel to it. However, it felt way smoother still than the Dynas that I was used to have it to riding. I have a 103 Dyna Street Bob, and this thing compared to that, night and day difference in the handling, in the throttle response, and the braking. You got your dual disc brakes up in the front. You got increased braking power, increased horsepower, bigger engine. You got the fly-by-wire throttle, and so it is just a lot overall more refined, but you still have that rumble that you're used to rocking around on the Dynas, on the Harleys in general. The fly-by-wire is pretty twitchy though, I have to say. It is quite twitchy indeed. The few times that I've gotten this thing up on one wheel, whether that be on purpose or not, this fly-by-wire, man, it's a twitchy game. So overall, I'm a huge fan of these bikes. A few complaints that I have though. The reason I dig these, again, is for the club style builds, and the big drag is you spend a pretty penny on these bikes as it is, especially now that they DC'd the Dyna line. These things, I think MSRP when they came out was around 17. Dealers nowadays still are wanting to get like 20K plus on these bikes. It seems like prices are coming down a little bit on stock Low Rider S's, on the used market at least. I've seen them for as low as like 13, 14K, and then of course upwards of 24K. It's outrageous, the ranges. But the big drag on these is if you are doing it for the Club Dyna build, then the big drag is you're going to be dumping a ton of money into these bikes. In other words, to get that ideal Low Rider S club build that you want, you're looking at just the basics. Upgraded exhaust, 2-in-1, you must have. Some type of risers or taller T-bars, must have. Whether it be for the style or functionality, I don't know. Some type of fairing. The fairing's not a must-have, but some type of fairing. Chain conversion, converting it to chain. A lot of people are going to relocate the tack and speedo, which you have right here. You got to kind of look down to see how fast you're going. A lot of people relocate it up to here. You're looking at, did I say chain drive conversion, upgraded foot pegs, crash bars. A lot of people like to take the gold wheels and powder coat them black. What else are we looking at? I mean, there's just all kinds of things. You can dump so much money into getting your dream build on this motorcycle, and that's going to be with your Club Dyna builds in general. So it's not specific to the Low Rider S, but so that is one of the drawbacks. And of course, all of that costs a lot of money. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention with the Low Rider S that's pretty rad is it does come standard with cruise control, and a lot of other people will dig that it comes standard with ABS, which was since deleted on this specific bike that I'm riding, but otherwise that stuff all comes standard. So that was another thing that was cool about the Low Rider S. It really did set it apart. It had those extra creature comforts. Yeah, I think those are the basics, but overall when it comes to fun factor and the whole ride and experience, I have to say I really have not found any other cruiser that I dig quite as much as this one here, as far as just the overall ride. I've ridden a lot of performance cruisers, your M109R, your Mean Streak, your Alma Warrior, the Harley V-Rod I have now in the garage. I mean, they're all fast bikes and gnarly bikes, but I've yet to ride another cruiser where you can do a power wheelie on accident, shifting from first to second or second to third. It's just amazing. Now, granted, this does have a lot of upgrades from stock, so I don't know if that's the case with your bone stock one, but I can only speak to what I have here. And then, of course, if you dig this type of moto, it's kind of got the best of everything. You got the style points, you've got the fun factor. It's just an overall super rad motorcycle, so I am still a huge fan of it. The biggest drawback, I have to say, the biggest drawback on these bikes is the fact that they cost so much dang money. I mean, they really are very, very expensive toys, and so that's a huge drawback. Oh, then one other thing I will mention, other upgrades I didn't talk about before, is you also have stuff like some of the other stuff you have, like the engine mounts, and that's just a Dyna thing in general. Dynas are notorious for their death wobble, and there's a lot that goes into the suspension. I didn't mention suspension. Yeah, that's one of the initial must-have upgrades to be a Dyna bro. We'll talk about that in another video, the 5 must-have upgrades to be a Dyna bro. But yeah, overall, that's my thoughts and impressions on the Low Rider S here. Pretty rad moto. And now we're at the skate park. So I'm gonna hit a skate sesh. Maybe we'll bring you some skate clips. But it's been a few months since I've been out here, so we'll see how it goes. John's Moto Garage. If you dig the content, like, subscribe. You can hit me on Instagram at John's Moto Garage. Hey, you interested in buying a Harley Dyna, dude? Hey, you scraping on both sides, dude? Oh, it's got this little...
Yeah.
Hey, does it hit that?
Yeah, well, that one turn it skipped on his ass turn and I lost the traction on it.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Woo. Woo.
And all of this side. Oh, it was.